Hi everyone, it's Tuesday the 4th of March and just looking forward to the end of this week and going to focus on a couple of events in this preview, namely the European Indoor Athletics Championships, which take part in Holland or the Netherlands from Thursday through to Sunday, and the UK Intercounties Cross Country Championships, which take part on Saturday at Nottingham. Let's start with the European Champs. Seems to be full coverage on BBC Two right the way through morning and evening sessions. Thursday evening it starts with the men's and women's 1500 metre heats are included in that session. Friday morning we got the men and women 800 heats. In the evening we got the finals already of the 1500s. Saturday morning we got the 3000 heats, and in the evening we got the 800 semi-finals, both sexes. Sunday afternoon into early evening we've got the finals of the 800s and the 3000s. So really quite a lot to look forward to, and quite a few of the events are pretty open, to be honest, including both 800s. There's a lot of people, 30 people in each event, 3 rounds for the 800s, and all within very little time of each other. For Great Britain, we've got Justin Davis, Tom Randolph and Jack Higgins, and on the men's side, and Izzy Buffy, Erin Wallace and Grace Van Zagnew on the women's side, and a few of those are making their debuts for Great Britain, so which is really good because they've taken full teams in with 3 athletes in each event. And then on the men's side at the 1500, oh, by the way, I wouldn't really want to name anybody who's the outstanding favourite for the men's or the women's 800. It seems pretty open on both sides, so it's getting it right through the rounds and on the day. So a lot could happen before we see who's crowned European champion in both those events. 1500 on the men's side and the women's side, a little bit more predictable perhaps what's going to happen in terms of the gold medals, where it's going to go, because Jakob Ingebrigtsen goes in the men's 1500 and Georgia Hunter-Bell is the favourite from Great Britain in the women's 1500. Our men have got Neil Gawley, Tom Keane and Elliot Giles, and apart from Georgia Hunter-Bell, we got Reve Walcott-Nolan and Ava Lloyd on the women's side. Then the 3000 looks, perhaps men's 3000 looks the most competitive event of the championship, although Jakob's doubling up and going for that. Bearing in mind, I said the 1500 finals on Friday evening and the heats of the 3000 are on Saturday morning, but he's got plenty of experience of that sort of thing. So Jakob Ingebrigtsen goes in the 3000. We've got people like Niels Laros going, and Andrew Koskeren, who's run really quick this year, also going amongst the favourites there. George Mills, James West and Adam Fogg are the Brits involved. And on the women's side, Melissa Courtney-Bryant, I'm not quite sure what her fitness has been like since she ran that incredible 8:28 earlier in the season. She goes with Hannah Nuttall and Ines Fitzgerald, whereas Sarah Healy from Ireland seems to be in great shape and will go in that. So yeah, some really good races to look forward to in the European Indoors Championships. As I say, starts Thursday. And then Saturday, we've got the UK Intercounties Championships at Nottingham. It's the last in the UK Cross Series. First race is at 10:45, which is the under-20 men. It's been shown live. They do a really good live stream on British Athletics TV YouTube channel, which is free. And I'll just concentrate on a few people who could show up in the men's and women's race. It's really, like a lot of these races, very difficult to know who's actually going to run at the end of the day. You can just look through the entries and have a stab, but no guarantee, because there's some people there on the entries I know are definitely not racing, of course. The men's race, you got people like Jack Miller in there. Richard Slade, who won the national, is not doing it. He's on a break now. So, and it's different conditions at Nottingham. Fast bit flatter and shorter at 10k. So be interesting to see who comes up trumps there. You got from Devon Flurry Grierson, who had a brilliant race at the National to finish third. He also ran at Battersea a few days later over 5k and probably was feeling the effects of the National that day. You got James Kingston, who was second in the National Cross Country to Richard Slade. He goes. Jacob Allham's listed for Middlesex, although I know he's had injuries. He dislocated his shoulder, I think, relatively recently. We haven't seen much of Callum Johnson in recent weeks, but he's listed, as is Cameron Allen for the North East. The intriguing one, or I think might well be racing, is Jack Kavanagh for Surrey. And Jack's been very, very consistent. He had a tremendous finish at the Armagh 5k and came through for a great second place there. And then he went on to win the Battersea 5k, more of a front running tactic there last week. So he'll be one to watch over what is double the distance, but I'm sure he's strong enough. So yeah, I think he'll be amongst the favourites. And then you've got for Warwickshire, they've got Jack Gray, who seems omnipresent in these championships. Fair play to Jack if he races. And then you've got two that I'm not so sure will race because they've been focusing on the road. That's Omar Ahmed and Kadar Ahmed from Birchfield. Angus McMillan goes to for York. Scott Sterling goes for Scotland West. But doesn't seem to be Logan Rees, who's been proven the top Scot this season. He doesn't seem to be listed that I can see. Hope I haven't made a mistake there, but that's the case there. And then on the women, you've got Lucy Jones for Hertfordshire, Holly Dixon for Kent, Abby Donnelly, Lincolnshire, Megan Gadsby for Norfolk, Jess Gibbon, who won the National and then was beaten in the Battersea 5k a few days later, is entered in the women's race. So yeah, be intriguing to see who rocks up for this race. There's been people scattered across races and very difficult for team managers, as I know from our experience in Kent, to get people on the start line, having sent the entries in some way in advance and being limited to the numbers that you can actually enter. All the entries you can find on Sportsoft race results, and I think the results will pop up on FR Systems, but can't be certain of that. One thing I want to point out, if you haven't ever come across it, there's a YouTube channel called The Distance Project, which Callum Elson and Charlie McCarthy started. It was focused on Callum's career. It broadened itself out to focus on other events and then went back to his progression from a serious injury a year ago. And Callum's back in good form, as we saw. He finished 6th in the UK Indoors 3,000 metres recently. But they've got a really nice episode out about the National Cross Country featuring Lucy Jones and from Herne Hill and James Kingston from Tunbridge, in terms of their preparation and how they got on the day. One was 4th, one was 2nd on the day at the National, but really well produced. So fair play to them, and worth watching the Distance Project YouTube channel and give them a shout out. And on the National, and I've mentioned him already, Flurry Grierson, who was 3rd in the National. He's got some pretty well produced videos of following his career in the sport, including the National Cross Country. So worth having a look at that as well. So yeah, some exciting action coming up. There's loads of half marathons and 20 milers appearing on the calendar now. So the sun's out. It's a bit chilly to film this outdoors just yet, but I'm sure we'll be doing it over the next few weeks, and hope you all have a good week.